Today, the 23rd of July, marks the 43rd anniversary of one of the darkest days in Sri Lanka's history, the devastation of the July 1983 riots. A dark chapter that destroyed lives and property, setting our nation back many years. A dark day on which people were divided for narrow political interests. Many of those who played a role in creating that dark chapter are no longer among us today. Yet, even 43 years later, the people of Sri Lanka continue to live with its consequences. Those who pursued their narrow political ambitions achieved their objectives. They entrenched themselves and their families in politics. They accumulated power and wealth. But in the end, what became of the country? The time has come to move beyond narrow political agendas and work together to build a united Sri Lankan nation. The time has come to leave the painful memories of July 1983 in the darkness of history and build a stronger nation upon the lessons it taught us.
A very good evening. This is Primetime News on TV1, bringing you the news. I'm Shradabdin.
And I'm Shalini Ratnavira. And as always, let's take a look at your headlines first.
The headlines on Newsfirst.
Chinese gang clash in Colombo Port City. Abducted Chinese national's body found in Ahaliagoda. Supreme Court rules Anuruddha Bandara's fundamental rights were violated during Aragalaya arrest. Court rejects petition seeking postponement of advanced level examination. Sajith summons opposition party leaders following written request from Namal. Gotabaya's appeal to prevent arrest in Easter attack probe to be considered on the 3rd of August. Namal Rajapaksa appears as counsel for Gotabaya Rajapaksa in court.
And on to those stories in detail. In your top story this evening, Chinese gang rivalry allegedly turned violent inside Colombo Port City.
Now, the body of a Chinese national who was allegedly abducted during the incident was found this afternoon in a forested area in Ahaliagoda. At the start of today's bulletin, we focus on this developing story.
Three Chinese nationals had arrived at Colombo Port City at around 11 p.m. yesterday in a cab hired on a rental basis. Police said the three Chinese nationals who entered Port City had been fishing from the suspension bridge within the premises. Meanwhile, between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. today, around 20 other Chinese nationals reportedly entered Port City in a black van. Police said they threatened the three men on the bridge with 2 pistols, tied their hands and legs, covered their faces, and assaulted them. Police said that following the assault, 2 of the victims were forced into the black van, while the third Chinese national was taken away in a separate vehicle. The 2 Chinese nationals placed in the black van were allegedly left inside the van with their hands and legs still bound after the group fled the scene. According to police, the 2 men had been abandoned in a parking area near a building within Port City. After freeing themselves, they contacted friends who arrived at the location and later accompanied them to lodge a complaint with the Colombo Harbour Police. Police said the complaint was lodged at around 5 a.m. today. The other Chinese national, who was allegedly abducted by the armed group, was identified as Hao Song. Meanwhile, a body suspected to be that of a Chinese national was discovered this afternoon in a forested area in Karadana, Ahaliagoda. Police said the body, which bore severe injuries, had its hands and legs bound and its eyes covered. Investigators further stated that stones had been placed over the body in an apparent attempt to conceal it. According to police, the 2 Chinese nationals who were assaulted later identified the body as that of Hao Song, who had been taken away during the incident. A vehicle believed to have been used in the alleged abduction of Hao Sang was also found abandoned at a nearby location. Police further recovered a Glock 44 semi-automatic pistol with a magazine containing ammunition, as well as a VVK walkie-talkie device from inside the van in which the two Chinese nationals had allegedly been abandoned. The van belongs to a resident of Ambalanthota, while the cab used by the three Chinese nationals is owned by a company based in Colombo 5. The two Chinese nationals who were assaulted are currently receiving treatment at a private hospital. The Chinese embassy in Sri Lanka had stated that it is closely monitoring the ongoing case involving Chinese citizens and has called on Sri Lankan authorities to conduct a comprehensive investigation to establish the facts at the earliest opportunity. In a statement, the Chinese embassy urged Sri Lanka police to carry out a thorough inquiry and take all necessary measures to safeguard the personal safety, lawful rights and legitimate interests of Chinese nationals in Sri Lanka. The embassy also issued a reminder to Chinese citizens in Sri Lanka to remain vigilant and strengthen their personal safety awareness amid the ongoing investigation. The embassy advised Chinese nationals to promptly report any emergency or security-related incident to Sri Lanka police and to contact the Chinese embassy for assistance whenever necessary.
Meanwhile, police say two Chinese nationals suspected of involvement in the incident have been arrested. The arrests were made when the two suspects arrived at Bandaranaike International Airport in Katunayake in an apparent attempt to leave the country.
Meanwhile, another criminal incident involving two groups of Chinese nationals was reported in recent days, with the son of former State Minister Shantha Bandara also being implicated in the case. In the incident, a group including the former State Minister's son is alleged to have robbed 20 million rupees from a Chinese national with the assistance and prior knowledge of another Chinese national.
When the case was taken up before the 4th Magistrates Court today, the court ordered that Anudha Janadit Bandara, the son of former State Minister Shantha Bandara, be remanded until the 27th.
Presenting facts before court, investigating officers stated that inquiries are being conducted into the suspect's telephone records, banking transactions and whether previous transactions had been carried out through cryptocurrency platforms in connection with the incident. The first suspect, Ajit Priyantha, was identified by a witness. The identification was made following an identification parade conducted before the magistrate this afternoon. The Criminal Investigation Department informed court that another suspect is due to be arrested in connection with the incident and that investigations are also underway to trace the vehicle allegedly used to carry out the robbery. The remaining four suspects connected to the incident were also remanded until the 27th. The case is scheduled to be called again on the 27th of July. Police have meanwhile launched a separate investigation into the source of the 20 million rupees and how the Chinese national concerned came into possession of the money.
Now, the Court of Appeal dismissed without hearing a petition filed by 9 students seeking a 2-month postponement of the GCE Advanced Level Examination.
The petition was taken up before Court of Appeal President Justice Rohantha Abesurya and Justice Priyantha Fernando, with Justice Rohantha Abesurya delivering the order. Appearing on behalf of the petitioners, Attorney-at-Law Bhupati Kahatudua submitted that Ministry of Education circulars stipulate a mandatory number of school days that must be conducted annually. Counsel pointed out that schools had not functioned properly due to decisions taken during the period of Cyclone Ditwa and the fuel crisis, including the declaration of Wednesdays as public holidays. He argued that if the advanced level examination were to be conducted as scheduled in August, students could suffer significant prejudice under the prevailing circumstances. Solicitor General Biraj Dayaratna, appearing for the respondents, informed court that approximately 378,000 students have registered for the advanced level examination, while only 9 students had sought judicial intervention to postpone it. He further stated that students sitting examinations through their schools are required to maintain at least 80% attendance annually, and noted that one of the student petitioners had recorded attendance of only 7.2%. The Solicitor General also submitted that postponing the advanced level examination would have serious repercussions for university admissions and several other related processes. Delivering the order, the President of the Court of Appeal stressed that the petitioners had failed to present sufficient grounds to justify judicial intervention in the conduct of the examination process, and therefore the court was not inclined to interfere in the matter. The judge observed that there is only a short gap of approximately 3 days between the conclusion of the current advanced level academic year and the commencement of the examination. He noted that any unfairness arising during the examination process could potentially affect the entire student community, and stated that it would be appropriate for the relevant authorities to take due note of the situation. The judge further remarked that responsible authorities should consider providing appropriate relief to students during the marking process and the allocation of marks where necessary.
The leader of the opposition, Sajith Premadasa, convened a meeting of opposition political party leaders at the opposition leader's office in Colombo.
The meeting was convened following a recent written request made by MP Namal Rajapaksa calling for a collective response against proposals to extend the tenure of judicial officers.
This is how national organizer of the Sri Lanka Potujana Peramuna, Nama Rajapaksa, who is currently out on bail, facing charges of criminal breach of trust after receiving 70 million rupees from the India Krish company under the pretext of promoting the sport of rugby, arrived at today's discussion. He joined alongside United National Party representatives, including former President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Sagala Ratnayaka, who are currently released on bail in connection with charges of engaging in a private tour of England using 16.6 million rupees of public funds. Other opposition MPs, including Chamara Sampath Dasanayaka, Ravi Karunanayaka and Udaya Gammanpilla, against whom court cases are currently being heard over various transactions, were also present at this discussion. Several opposition representatives, including Partile Champika Ranawaka, Thiran Malas, Vimal Veeravansa, Dilith Jayavira and Rauf Hakim joined the discussion. Parts of the views expressed by Sajith Premadasa during the discussion held inside the opposition leader's office were released to the media by the opposition leader's media unit.
අධිකරණයේ අතගහපු හැම අවස්ථාවකම අධිකරණයේ ස්වාධීනත්වයේ මොට කරන්න කරපු හැම උත්සාහයක්ම අවසානයේ ආණ්ඩු පෙරළියකින් එය අවසන් වෙලා ඒ නිසා අත්‍යවශ්‍යම අනුකුමාර දිසානායකගේ මේ ආඥාදායක ඒකාධිපති ආණ්ඩුව අත තියලා තියන්නේ අධිකරණයට. හැබැයි ප්‍රගතිශීලී ප්‍රජාව හැටියට අපි ඒ උත්සාහය පරාජය කරලා අධිකරණයට අත තැබීම අත පුච්චා ගැනීමක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කරනවා.
Just as we from political parties gather here, we must remember that there are other forces. On Monday, the Mahasangha has organized a convention. On Wednesday, lawyers are meeting. We must come to an agreement here on how we are going to work together. The Minister of Justice is saying that the reason for this is law's delays and that it must be resolved. I am 100% in agreement with that. I am asking the opposition leader to unite in Parliament and present a proposal next week to appoint a select committee to look into how this 1.1 million cases can be resolved. If this can be done today or tomorrow, hand it over on Monday.
Before the discussion concluded, Nama Rajapaksa, who had requested the convening of this discussion, left.
විපක්ෂ නායකවරයා ඇතුළු සියලු විපක්ෂයේ පක්ෂ එකමතිකව පිළිගන්න කාරණයක් තමයි මේ රටේ අධිකරණ පද්ධතියේ ස්වාධීනත්වය ආරක්ෂා කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒ නිසා ඒ සඳහා අද අපි දේශපාලනික වශයෙන් අපි අපේ ගමන යනවා. හැබැයි ඉතින් මේ රටේ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් මොකද අද 45000ක් බන්ධනාගාරවල හිර වෙලා ඉන්නවා. දැන් මේ 45000ට වක් කියන්නේ කවුද? හැබැයි ඉතින් බන්ධනාගාරේ තදබදිය ඇති වෙලා තින්නේ. සමහර දේශපාලන තීන්දුව මත ආණ්ඩුව මාධ්‍ය සංදර්ශන දාන්න මිනිස්සුව ගිහලා ඇතුළට දානවා.
This is how opposition party representatives left after discussing for about 2 hours.
මේ සෑහෙන කාලෙකින් විපක්ෂ නායක කාර්යාලයට අපිට යන්න කියලා තින්නේ ආණ්ඩුව.
It was the government that told us to go to the opposition leader's office after a long time. If not, there was no need to hold a discussion chaired by the opposition leader. The government has jailed the judiciary of this country. They have taken the judiciary into their custody. It is a common need for political parties who hold various views to free the judicial system. That is the reason why we attended this discussion based on an invitation extended by the opposition leader. Those who are in favor of this speak about Shirani Bandaranayaka's incident. Shirani Bandaranayaka's incident was terminating her service before the conclusion of her tenure. They said that was wrong. But that case was tried in Parliament. It was the Parliament according to the Constitution. Who was on that committee or if I was on that committee is irrelevant. What is happening here? Here the government is going to extend the tenure of the Chief Justice for 2 more years. If there is a complaint against that, where will that be heard? At the Supreme Court. So basically, I am the one hearing the case and I am the one who pronounces judgment and also gets the benefit.
Following an event held in Colombo today, former President Maithripala Sirisena spoke about the reasons behind his absence at the meeting of opposition politicians.
නායකත්ව මීටින් එකට ගියේ නැද්ද මේ නම මට අද මේ උත්සවයේ තිබුණා නේ ඉතින් මේ මේක නැවිලා බෑනේ අපේ පොළොන්නරුවේ ආඳුරෝනේ ඒක නිසා මේකට ආවා හිටපු ජනාධිපතිවරු ඔක්කොම ගිහිල්ලා දැන්වත් සහභාගී වෙනවද කොහොමද නෑ ඉතින් දැන් ඉවරයි ඉතින් මේ විලාවට කොහෙද මෙච්චර වෙලා යන්නේ මේ අපේ මේ ගමේ ආඳුරෝනේ මේ ආරාධනාවක් කරාද කළා ඒ වුණාට මම කිව්වා මේ අද මේ වැඩේ මෙතන මේ වෙලාවටම තියෙන නිසා එන්න ලැබෙන්නේ නෑ කියලා මේකයි.
Meanwhile, prior to participating in the discussion, Nama Rajapaksa appeared before the Court of Appeal in his capacity as an attorney at law. He appeared in support of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's writ petition. The writ petition filed by former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa seeking an order preventing his arrest and detention in connection with investigations into the Easter Sunday terrorist attacks was taken up once again today. The former president also appeared before the Court of Appeal today. The petition was considered before a bench comprising Court of Appeal President Justice Ruhanta Abesurya and Justice Sarath Disanayaka. President's counsel Romesh De Silva, appearing on behalf of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, submitted that both judicial independence and individual liberty are recognized as fundamental rights under the Constitution. He stated that such liberty can be restricted only in the most limited of circumstances. The President's counsel argued that delivering justice to those affected by the Easter Sunday attacks does not mean arresting and imprisoning individuals without any reasonable basis. President's counsel Romesh De Silva further informed court that his client had never been summoned in connection with any investigation relating to the Easter Sunday attacks and had not exerted any influence on witnesses connected to the investigation. He said that despite this, the respondents had obtained a travel ban against his client from the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court without any reasonable basis. Further consideration of the petition was postponed until the 3rd of August.
The Supreme Court ruled that former Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Western Province Deshabandhu Tennakul and the then officer in charge of the Colombo North Special Investigation Unit Nalin Sriyantha violated the fundamental rights of 2022 Aragalaya protest activist Anuruddha Bandara through his arrest.
The ruling was delivered by Supreme Court Justice Sobhata Rajakaruna with the concurrence of Justices Janak De Silva and Menaka Vijay Sundara following the hearing of a fundamental rights petition filed by social activist Anuruddha Bandara. In his petition, the petitioner stated that on the 2nd of April 2022, a group of officers attached to the Colombo North Special Investigation Unit entered his residence, searched his personal belongings and took possession of his passport. The petitioner further stated that officers subsequently examined his mobile phone, laptop computer, email account and social media accounts and questioned him regarding social media posts linked to the Go Home Gota 2022 campaign as well as a peaceful protest scheduled to be held on the 3rd of April 2022. The petition alleged that the respondents arrested him without any reasonable basis, claiming that he had criticized the government through posts published on his Facebook page. Anuruddha Bandara was subsequently taken to several locations, including the Modern Crimes Division and the Criminal Investigation Department, where he was detained for nearly 24 hours before being produced before the Colombo Additional Magistrate in the early hours of 3rd of April 2022 and released on bail. After considering the facts presented before the court, the Supreme Court concluded that the arrest had been carried out without reasonable grounds or sufficient evidence. Extract.
The respondents have acted arbitrarily by abusing police powers. As a result, the petitioner's fundamental right to equal treatment before the law, guaranteed under Article 12(1) of the Constitution, has been violated. Accordingly, the respondents, namely Deshabandhu Tennakone, who served as Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Western Province at the time, and Nalin Shriyantha, the officer in charge of the Colombo North Special Investigation Unit, have violated the petitioner's fundamental rights.
End of extract. President's Counsel Salia Pires appeared on behalf of the petitioner, while State Counsel Sajit Bandara appeared for the respondents.
The Cockroach Janata Party supporters continued their sit-in at Jantar Mantar today, demanding accountability over alleged irregularities in competitive examinations, including the NEET UG 2026, reforms in the education system, and the resignation of Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan.
Onelka Marathungu has more details. Onelka?
Yes, thank you, Chalani and Juad. Now, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has pledged to set up fast-track courts to punish those involved in examination paper leaks, offering his first public response to youth-led protests challenging his government. Demonstrations have grown across New Delhi after reported irregularities in National Medical School entrance exams, leading this week to a crackdown by security forces. Meanwhile, the New Delhi Metro Rail Corporation has closed 16 metro stations due to the escalating situation in the capital. Fresh clashes broke out between protesters and security personnel at Jantar Mantar once again last night, with the police resorting to a cane charge and firing tear gas shells to disperse the crowd. Police said at least 6 personnel, including 2 ACP rank officers, were injured in the violence. Let's take a look at the latest developments.
After an overwhelming response for the march to Parliament on the 20th of July, the Cockroach Janata Party has called for peaceful nationwide protests tomorrow, Friday the 24th of July. The CJP poster published on X read, quote, "Every district, one day, one demand," with a call to stand in solidarity with victims of police brutality across India, end quote. The group directed local student unions and other organizations to collaborate for permissions and logistics.
An example.
The protests continued in Delhi today, with the CJP protesters demanding accountability over alleged irregularities in competitive examinations, including the NEET UG 2026, reforms in the education system, and the resignation of Union Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Responding to the protests, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the central government has decided to set up fast-track courts to quote-unquote ensure swift and stringent punishment for those involved in paper leaks. Speaking on the protests for the first time, Prime Minister Modi said on X, quote, "Nothing is more important than the welfare and future of our youth," end quote. He added, quote, "have directed the concerned authorities and officials to take all necessary steps in this regard. This continues our series of steps for safeguarding the interests of students. Those who try to harm the future of our youth will not be spared," end quote.
Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, Vijay Herath, has held a series of high-level diplomatic engagements on the sidelines of the 33rd ASEAN Regional Forum, currently underway in Manila, Philippines. Among the key meetings was a discussion with the United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio, where Minister Herath engaged in high-level diplomatic talks with the top American diplomat. The meeting took place as foreign ministers from ASEAN member states and dialogue partners gathered in Manila to discuss regional peace, security and cooperation.
Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijay Herath held a brief meeting with United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio, with discussions focused on further strengthening bilateral relations and expanding cooperation between Sri Lanka and the United States. Sharing details of the meeting, Minister Herath said the discussions centered on advancing long-standing ties between the two countries and exploring avenues for enhanced cooperation. Meanwhile, Minister Herath also met with India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and Bangladesh's Foreign Minister Khalilur Rahman during the regional gathering. In a post on X, Minister Jaishankar said he was pleased to meet his Sri Lankan and Bangladeshi counterparts on the sidelines of the ASEAN Regional Forum. Minister Herath also held discussions with United States Ambassador to India and Special Envoy for South and Central Asia, Sergio Gore, on the sidelines of the ARF meeting in Manila. In a social media post, Minister Herath said the discussions focused on further deepening the long-standing Sri Lanka-US partnership, including expanding trade relations and possible collaboration in strengthening dengue control measures implemented in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka and Russia also reaffirmed their diplomatic engagement as Minister Vijitha Herath held talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of the forum. The discussions focused on the current status of bilateral relations between Sri Lanka and Russia, along with key regional and international developments. The meeting provided an opportunity for both foreign ministers to review areas of mutual interest and exchange views on matters concerning with global agenda. Minister Vijitha Herath is currently in the Philippines to attend the 33rd ASEAN Regional Forum ministerial meeting and the commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the Treaty of Amity and Cooperation in Manila, Philippines. The minister is scheduled to address both meetings and hold further bilateral discussions, including talks with Philippine Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Teresa P. Lazaro. According to Sri Lanka's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Minister Herath is also expected to officially open the office of the Honorary Consul of Sri Lanka in Mindanao during his visit.
Sri Lanka's leading medical professionals and international health experts gathered in Colombo last evening for the 139th anniversary of the International Medical Congress of the Sri Lanka Medical Association. The anniversary celebrations that will span across 4 days focuses on the latest advances in medicine, public health and diabetes care.
The 139th Anniversary International Medical Congress, organized by the Sri Lanka Medical Association in collaboration with the International Diabetes Federation, Southeast Asia region, was inaugurated in Colombo.
As we look toward the future, this ministry recognizes that the traditional reactive model of treating illness is no longer suitable. We must boldly pivot toward proactive wellness, rigorous disease prevention and robust primary health care. And when you look forward, we may have to sort of change the pathway going by the present and future scenarios. Now we have challenges of demographic transition, epidemiological transition, aging, and then the universal health coverage stands somewhere at 74, which was 69 few years ago, and we expect it to be 80 by 2030. But those things don't come just like that. We have to work for. And we have overburdened tertiary and secondary care, and we have underutilized primary level of care. And also, out-of-pocket expenditure is around 50, which is not good. So those are the challenges. Unless we address these challenges strategically, the future will not be so good. The past 100 years we have done very well, mainly in maternal and child health, and as well as preventing the communicable diseases. But the present day answers are not the same. And we have to understand the nexus between prevention and medical care. So it's about a spectrum of care. That's how we have to understand. The battle against non-communicable diseases cannot be won within the walls of a hospital alone. The government's prime funding would be diverted towards primary health care in next 2 years so that the access of care will be improved and the people will get a better care. And recently we have about 120 drugs we have started giving into primary care which were not available to be given in the primary level of care.
The behaviour of certain opposition MPs was the subject of a debate in Parliament today. The Speaker of Parliament, Dr. Jagat Vikramaratne, drew attention to the amount of time spent on asking supplementary questions in relation to the questions directed by members of Parliament who seek oral answers.
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා දෙවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ අහන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් මම ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නට යනවා.
ගරු කතානායක මම මේක අර්ජුන මන්ත්‍රීතුමාට අහන්න දෙනවා ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නය.
මේ කතානායකතුමා මම දැම්මම අවසන් කරන්නද නැත්නම් අහන්නද? නෑ ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා ඔබට විනාඩියේ තප්පර 30ක් තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක්. විනාඩියයි තප්පර 30යි. ඔබතුමාලා මේ ජෝකයක් කරගන්න එපා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ. බොහොම ස්තුතියි සර්. මේ කිල්නොජි ප්‍රදේශයෙන් ඕගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් පටන් ගත්තා අර කයිපිඩි මන් ව්‍යවසායන් කියලා මට ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ. ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක පටන් අරන් ඒකෙන් පරගානක් සල්ලි වංජා දූෂණ කරා. ඒක අපි පෙන්නලා දුන්නාට පස්සේ ඔබතුමාලාගේ ඉස්සර වාඩි වෙලා ඉන්නේ
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා අදාළ ප්‍රශ්නෙට අදාළ ප්‍රශ්න
ඉවර කරනවා ඉන්නකො පොඩ්ඩක්
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා අදාළ ප්‍රශ්නයක් අතුරු ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙවෙයි ප්‍රශ්නාංක 6 ගරු MS අබ්දුල් වාහිද් මහතා
මගේ අතුරු ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න කලින්ම ඔබතුමා
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා අදාළ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙවෙයි මෝඩ විදිහට හැදෙන්න එපා ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමා
ස්ථාවර නියෝගවල බොහෝම පැහැදිලිව සඳහන් වෙනවා කිසිම මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකුට අයුතු ආකාරයෙන් වැරදි විදිහට ආමන්ත්‍රණය කිරීම සුදුසු නැහැ මේ සභාවේ ඉන්න ගරු මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකුට ඒ මෝඩ කතා කියන කතා කියන්න බෑ
හැතිරෙන්න එපා කියන කතාව වෙනම දෙයක්
සුදුසු නැහැ එහෙම කතා කරන්න එපා
මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අපි කවුරුත් ඉස්සර නියෝගවලට යටත්ව කටයුතු කරනවා
All of us in this parliament act in accordance with the standing orders but we know there is a member or two here I think in all my time in this parliament, no one has ever behaved this poorly, vulgarly and indecently. We have to tolerate it because of their mental illnesses, but I honestly cannot bear it anymore. Even just now, the opposition leader spoke about the standing orders. Look at that person's behavior just then. Those might not be heard through the mic. Those might not go into the videos. But the four walls of this parliament are privy. Look at what kind of person this is, utterly cheap and bringing insults to the entire Tamil community. Now look at 77.1. Whenever any member is named by the speaker immediately after the commission of the offence of disregarding the authority of the chair or of abusing the rules of parliament by persistently and willfully obstructing the business of parliament or otherwise, the speaker shall forthwith put the question on a motion being made that such member be suspended from the service of parliament. 77.2. If any such motion be carried and any member be suspended under this standing order, the suspension of such member on the first occasion shall be for 2 weeks, on the second occasion during the same session shall be for 3 weeks, and on the third or any subsequent occasion during the same session shall be for 4 weeks. You know that this person's behaviour is not just limited to Parliament. A party leader and very senior member of Parliament has given you a letter stating he cannot sit next to him, Kumar Ponnambalam, that he cannot conduct the Jaffna district coordination work. Therefore, we are tolerating this right now, thinking it's some sort of mental health condition and hoping he will get treatment and it will get better.
කිසි මානසික රෝගී තත්ත්වයක් ඇති ඒකට බේත් අරගෙන හරියයි කිය. කරුණාකර ගරු මන්ත්‍රීතුමාලා ඊටට විනයක් ඇතුව සංගමයක් ඇතුව කතා කරන විදිහට පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඇසුරන හොඳයි කියලා හිතනවා.
ස්ථාවර නියෝග 36. ඔබතුමා
Standing Order 36. At one point, you referred to him as a fool. And then Honourable Leader of the House referred to him as a mental patient. Those are not appropriate. There is no member named Kumar Ponnambalam in this parliament.
කුමාර් පොන්නම්බලම් කියලා මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙක් නැහැ මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ.
ගජේන්ද්‍ර පොන්නම්බලම් මන්ත්‍රීතුමා මේ මට ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. මේ ගජේන්ද්‍ර පොන්නම්බලම් මන්ත්‍රීතුමා මට ලිපියක් ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා එතුමාලා ඉන්න බෑ කියලා.
Former Mayor of Colombo, Rosie Senanayake, appeared before the Presidential Commission of Inquiry appointed to investigate alleged fraud, corruption and irregularities that are said to have taken place within the Colombo Municipal Council between 2010 and 2025. President Anil Kumar Disanayake appointed a special Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate alleged corruption, fraud and abuse of power said to have taken place at the Colombo Municipal Council between 2010 and 2025.
I was summoned to appear before the Commission through a letter and I faced the Commission for the first time last Friday. Today I appeared again to answer the remaining questions and I am now leaving after completing my statement. The Commission summoned us regarding the dry ration vouchers issued by the Colombo Municipal Council to provide assistance to low-income and vulnerable people who were affected during the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic crisis. The issue raised was whether the vouchers had any legal validity. However, the Colombo Municipal Council acted in accordance with the law and the relevant ordinances to support people who were facing hardships. The reason for me being called before this special commission is mainly due to a complaint made by a former commissioner or another party, claiming that the council did not have the legal authority to issue these monetary vouchers.
Weather first.
The Department of Meteorology says heat levels remain elevated across 9 districts in Sri Lanka. A weather advisory has also been issued in this regard.
Stevin Machado brings us the details. Stevin?
Yes, thank you, Chalani and Jual. Now, the Department of Meteorology stated that the heat index, or the temperature felt on the human body, is expected to reach cautionary levels in the districts of Kilinochchi, Vaunia, Mullaitivu, Trincomalee, Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Batticaloa, Ampara and Monaragala districts. Now, the department has urged the public to remain vigilant and take necessary precautions.
Temperatures in the Central Pacific Ocean have risen to 1.74 degrees Celsius above average. This is higher than the levels recorded during 2023-2024 El Niño episode. According to the latest climate data released by the Australian Bureau of Meteorology, temperatures in the Central Pacific Ocean have increased significantly. Sea surface temperatures in the Central Pacific Ocean are one of the key indicators used to measure the development and intensity of El Niño conditions.
Current projections indicate that the El Nino event is likely to reach its peak between October and December. At present, there is an estimated 81% probability that it could develop into an extremely strong El Nino event. As a result, Sri Lanka could experience drought conditions. At the same time, there is also the possibility of intense rainfall. It is therefore likely that we will experience both extremes in the coming months. We are currently in July, and during the final week of July, we expect an increase in rainfall in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces, as well as in districts such as Kandy, Nuwara Eliya, Galle and Mathura. This trend is expected to continue into the first few days of next week and the beginning of next month. However, outside the western Sabaragamuwa and southern provinces, particularly in the northern and north-central regions, we anticipate largely dry weather conditions during the coming months, along with a rise in temperatures. We expect some rainfall towards the latter part of September. From October to December, current forecasts indicate that rainfall is likely to exceed seasonal averages.
The Stop Dengue Now National Dengue Eradication Program continued for the 13th consecutive day across the Western Province. The program is organized by the Maharaja Media Network, led by Newsfirst, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Mass Media. The Colombo district team toured the Nugegoda area today.
Stop Dengue Now Dengue Eradication Program continued for the 13th consecutive day today in the Western Province, focusing on the Nugegoda area as authorities intensified their efforts to curb the spread of dengue and spread public awareness. Reporting to you from Colombo, I am Stevin Machado.
Another team of the Stop Dengue Now National Dengue Eradication Program visited the Mahara area in the Gampa district today. The Kaluthara district team visited the Ingiriya area today.
According to the Met Department, a few showers will occur in the coastal areas of the western and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning. Now, mainly dry weather will prevail over the other areas of the island. The Met Department adds that fairly strong winds, about 30 to 40 kilometers an hour, can be expected at times over the northern and north-central provinces and in the Hambantota and Puttalam districts.
Producing world-class athletes is an endeavor that brings much honor and glory to any country. With many new talented athletes emerging from Sri Lanka, the search for diamonds among the rough continues.
We cross over to Stevin Machado once again for the details.
Yes, thank you once again, Shalini and Jual. Now, Javelin Fiesta is a project organized with the aim of producing international javelin throwing champions from Sri Lanka. A press conference to raise awareness about this project was held at the Ministry of Sports Auditorium. Let's take a look.
Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Sunil Kumar Gamage, Deputy Minister of Sports Sugat Tilakaratne, officials from the Ministry of Sports, Javelin champion Rumesh Tharanga and others participated in this press conference.
Previously, Deputy Minister Sugat Tilakaratne had created this project and attempted to implement it. Now that he has become the Deputy Minister, we have planned, discussed and started working to execute this project. The world's #1 athlete has been produced from Sri Lanka. This is athlete Rumesh Tharanga. We will search for athletes across Sri Lanka and finally conclude this program with a national event. There are children with immense talent in the remote areas of Sri Lanka, but they don't have the equipment to train properly. This will truly be a very helpful program, not just for me, but for all the newcomers starting the javelin throw sport in Sri Lanka. There are genuinely very talented coaches in Sri Lanka. If all facilities are available in Sri Lanka, all the children who want to take up this sport will certainly develop a passion and desire to move forward, and they will join this sport.
During the event, the Ministry of Sports also presented a cheque for a financial donation of 2.5 million rupees to support Rumesh Tharanga's journey as an athlete.
And that's a wrap of your news for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Good night.